Welcome to a video roundup of the Best Buy AV receivers released this year. You can read the actual article via the link in the description or by clicking the info button at the top right of the screen. After a significant period of change, we saw a degree of consolidation in the AV receiver market, with all the main manufacturers releasing models that offered immersive audio, updated HDMI connections, and the latest multi-room features. So, in alphabetical order, here are the best AV receivers that we reviewed this year. The Anthem MRX1120 is an 11-channel AVR that retails for £4,399. It includes support for both Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, and can deliver a full 7.1.4 speaker configuration right out of the box. The 1120 uses a minimalist design with a decent level of build quality and includes a simple display and some basic controls. There's an effective remote that includes all the buttons you'll need, and the 1120 has HDMI inputs and outputs to support 4K, HDR and HDCP 2.2. There's also built-in Wi-Fi and support for DTS Play-Fi. As an Anthem AVR, the 1120 includes Anthem Room Correction, which is a powerful and flexible room equalization system, and the resulting audio quality was superb. The MRX 1120 delivered a great performance with both movies and music, so whilst it might not be cheap, it certainly delivers the goods in terms of features and sound quality. The Arcam AVR850 is a 7-channel AV receiver that retails for £4,499. These 7 channels use Class G amplification, so you can immediately start with a 7.1 or a 5.1.2 configuration, but in order to run a full 7.1.4 setup, you'll need to add another 4 channels of amplification. The AVR850 uses a simple but attractive design with an excellent level of build quality. There's a large and easy to read display and some basic controls, along with a remote that's good once you get used to it. All the connections are at the rear, and here there are plenty of HDMI inputs, all of which support 4K, HDR and HDCP 2.2. The AVR850 supports both Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, but its big selling point is the inclusion of Dirac Live. This hugely powerful room correction software can deliver very impressive results, and it sounded superb with both movies and music. The AVR850 might be expensive, but its sound quality is second to none. The Denon AVR-X6300H is another 11-channel AV receiver, but at £1,999 is considerably cheaper than either the Anthem or the Arcam. It supports both Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, and for an additional fee you can even add Auro 3D as well. Since the X6300 includes 11 built-in channels, you can run a full 7.1.4 configuration right out of the box. Naturally, it has the looks and build quality we expect from Denon, with an informative display and a drop-down flap that hides the front panel controls and inputs. The remaining connections are at the rear, and all the HDMI inputs and outputs support 4K, HDR and HDCP 2.2. The remote control is useful, but annoyingly doesn't include a backlight. But the user interface is excellent and setup is very easy. The X6300 has a host of features, including support for Denon's HEOS multi-room system. It uses Odyssey Multi-Q XT32 room equalization software, and the receiver was an excellent performer, producing a lovely sound with both movies and music, which makes the AVR6300 a real bargain. As part of the D&M group, the Marantz SR7011 shares many of the same features as its Denon sibling. Whilst the former only has 9 channels of amplification built in, it's also a lot cheaper at £1,499, which is a great price for a new flagship AVR. It supports both Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, and for an additional fee you can even add Auro 3D as well. You will need to add 2 more channels of amplification to run a full 7.1.4 configuration, but 9 channels will probably be enough for most people. Naturally, it has the looks and the build quality we expect from Marantz, with the classic round window display and a larger one behind a drop-down flap. There are plenty of connections at the rear, and the HDMI inputs and outputs all support 4K, HDR and HDCP 2.2. The remote control is nicely designed and includes a backlight. The user interface is also excellent and setup is very easy. The SR7011 has a host of features, including support for the HEOS multi-room system. It uses Odyssey Multi-Q XT32 room equalization software, and the receiver was a great performer, delivering a lovely sound with both movies and music. As such, the SR7011 comes highly recommended. The Pioneer SC LX89 has been out for a while now, so you can pick it up for a very tempting £1,299. That's a great price for a flagship receiver with 9 channels of built-in amplification. The design is attractive and the build quality excellent, with the classic AVR layout, an informative display and a drop-down flap, behind which you'll find controls and additional inputs. The rest of the connections are at the rear, and although there are plenty of HDMI inputs, only 2 support 4K, HDR and HDCP 2.2. The remote control is disappointing, but there are plenty of features built into the Pioneer. The receiver supports both Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, and can run a 5.1.4 or 7.1.2 configuration right out of the box. Although if you want a full 7.1.4 system, you need to add 2 more channels of amplification. Setup could have been easier, but Pioneer's MCACC Room EQ system worked quite well. It's a powerful AVR that delivered a great performance with movies and also a surprisingly nuanced performance with music, making the SC-LX89 a great value all-round AV receiver. Finally, we have the Yamaha RX-A3060, which is the manufacturer's latest flagship AV receiver. The A3060 retails for £1,999 and includes 9 channels of built-in amplification. As we'd expect from Yamaha, the design is attractive and the build quality excellent. There is a large and informative display at the front, with a drop-down flap that hides various controls and additional inputs. There are plenty of connections at the rear, and all the HDMI inputs and outputs support 4K, HDR and HDCP 2.2. The remote control is a bit fiddly, and the menu systems and setup isn't the most intuitive, but the A3060 includes Yamaha's YP-AO room equalization software. There are plenty of other features, including the MusicCast multi-room system, and support for both Dolby Atmos and DTS:X. You can run a 5.1.4 or 7.1.2 setup right out of the box, but you'll need to add an extra 2 channels if you want to run a full 7.1.4 system. The A3060 is a great receiver, with plenty of power and a detailed performance, making it ideal for both movies and music. If you're in the market for a new, higher-end AV receiver, the RX-A3060 should definitely be on your shortlist. Thanks for watching.